It's been a great week here in the city of Dothan. I can't think of a better way than to cap it off by honoring our Vietnam veterans. After having served, and let's do this, for all the Vietnam veterans and their spouses and family members, would you please stand so we can honor you properly? Hoorah! And Semper Fi. Welcome home. After having served in the U.S. Army for 22 years, I cannot tell you how humbled I am to stand before you today. When the mayor asked me to be a part of this ceremony this morning, it truly humbled me and makes me realize again how fortunate we are to have veterans like yourself that made this country the greatest country on the face of the earth. And I just want to thank you again. Now, the mayor and commission chairman Culver told me to keep my remarks short, but I just want to let you know that March the 29th not only is an honor to welcome home Vietnam veterans, but as many of you know, on this day back in history, I see former Mayor Pat Thomas smiling. He knows I like to do this. On this day in history, as many of you know, especially the Vietnam veterans with us, it was on this day that you left Vietnam 9 years after being there upon the token resolution. And that is a remarkable moment in our history. And I'm just, again, so blessed that we're all here to commemorate it this day. We have a great agenda in store for you today, and we're going to hear remarks from some of my heroes. But I just want to thank Sharon. She brought to my attention, there are many reasons why public officials run. There are many reasons why we elect to serve in our armed forces. Some of us were drafted, some of us elected to serve, but we're all honored to serve our country. And I can honestly tell you, when I joined the service in 1988, it was because of this gentleman who was our former U.S. Senator, Jeremiah Denton. He passed away yesterday at his home. He was a Vietnam veteran. He retired as a Rear Admiral, and he was a Vietnam prisoner of war. And I just ask that we pause for just a moment and remember all of our Vietnam veterans that have gone on, and for Jeremiah Denton and his family. So if we could pause for a moment. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to ask Brandon Shoup to come up. Before I do that, I'd be negligent if I didn't introduce our head table. Mayor Mike Schmitz and the city of Dothan organized this event along with Chairman Culver with the county, and we want to thank you for doing that. And before I forget, I want to recognize all of our officials here. If you'll please stand. I see State Senator Harry Ann Smith over there. I saw former Mayor Pat Thomas. Thank you for your service. I see County Commissioner Melinda McClendon in the back as well. But Mayor Mike Schmitz is to my left. I want to thank you, Mayor. As I said, it's been a great week, and we appreciate you and what the city does to try to bring industry to our city. I want to also introduce our guest speaker you'll hear from shortly, Lieutenant Colonel Marcus A. Gingler. He's going to give you a great speech this morning. And also, we have other folks here. Max Roberts is part of the Vietnam Vet Chapter, Chairman, Commissioner of the Houston County, Chairman of the Houston County Commission, Mark Culver, who does a lot to support our veterans. State Senator Harry Ann Smith, who goes above and beyond the call to support our veterans. And also a man, in my opinion, that needs no introduction is Ed Pritchard, who has devoted much of his life not only to the military, but to helping veterans such as myself. And Ed, I want to thank you very much for all you do, all of you. At this time, we're going to ask Brandon Shoup to come up and do our invocation.
Of not only thinking about veterans, but thinking about everyone in the community of trying to get jobs to this community. And he deserves a big round of applause. After they stand presenting the colors, if you will, just rise. And when we do rise, stay, because we'll have the Dothan High School ROTC presenting the colors. And after the pledge, we'll have the fun choir with the national anthem. Present colors.
Mark time. Mark. Face. Present. Colors.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go ahead and post the colors.
Carry. Colors. Left. Face. Forward. March. Left. 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 Right. Left. 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 Right. Hold.
Sometimes I think about America. Of our future and her past. Our plans to be living in liberty and a land where freedom will rise.
In conducting the welcome home ceremony, I admitted some officials that are with us today. I'm told that Klaus is in the house. Is Representative Steve Klaus here? Will you stand up, please, so we can recognize you? Also, Doug Sinkfield is a Vietnam veteran, and he's on our county commission here in Houston County. Thank you for your service. Please stand. I saw Bob Woodall. He's a great... Bob, stand. Just call Bob. He's the chairman of our Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for all you've done this week and you continue to do. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce, again, a person who needs no introduction. He's my friend. I typically call him Redbeard, but he is the chairman of the Houston County Commission. He does so much for our veterans, and so does the Houston County Commission. And it's my pleasure to introduce Mark Culver with some short remarks. Mark.
Thank you, Taylor. It used to be Redbeard. It's becoming Graybeard now. Don't laugh. You all know what I'm talking about. I want to, on behalf of the County Commission, I want to just say what a great and blessed community we live in. Isn't it the truth? I can't. The things we continue to do as a community, from veterans to our elected officials to our people, which is our truest and greatest asset, I just can't think of anywhere in the world that God has looked down on any more than Dothan, Houston County, Wiregrass area, and I'm so proud to serve all of you. I too want to thank Mike and Sharon for putting this together, and I was asked to read a poem written by Sandy Ukes, who has written many poems honoring the military, including for our Gold Star wives and others. And the poem is entitled, Thanks to the Vietnam Vet. But I do want to say thank you to all of you who stood up here a moment ago. You know, you guys, those of us that don't know, really don't know what you've been through. I want to mention Commissioner Doug Singfield right here on the front. He spent a year in Vietnam. He came back and since then has spent his life putting a till in the ground, creating food for all of us. He served his community. He now serves in public service. He is a great example of what all of you are doing. All of you are being such integral parts of your community, and we just thank you for that. Thanks to the Vietnam vet. Today, let's honor the Vietnam vet. He served our country. Did you thank him yet? No matter what you thought of the Vietnam War, thank the veteran, because you're the ones he fought for. The Vietnam vet is a man of pride, a man of honor who didn't hide. When he was called to service all, the Vietnam vet stood proud and tall. He left his home, his family and friends. Some never made it back home again. Some were shattered and will never be the same. And some will always remember their pain. Please thank a Vietnam vet today. Look him in the eyes and mean what you say. And don't be surprised to see tears in his eyes. Yes, thank a Vietnam vet while he's still alive. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chairman Culver. It's my privilege at this time to introduce our guest speaker, who has some remarks for you this morning, and that's Lieutenant Colonel Marcus A. Gingler. He's a native of the Golden State of Ontario, California. He entered military service in 1993 as a member of the 145th Military Intelligence Battalion in the Utah Army National Guard. A graduate of the ROTC program, otherwise known as the ROTC program at Brigham Young University, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant into the aviation branch in 1995. Previous assignments include service as a UH-60 platoon leader with B Company, 6th Battalion, 101st Aviation Regiment, at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. For those of you who do not know, and I'm sure most of you know, that's the Screaming Eagles, the 101st Airborne Division. Whoa! He deployed to Kuwait in support of Operation Desert Thunder in 1998. He deployed to Kuwait in support of Operation Desert Thunder in 1998. He later served as the 6th of the 101st Aviation Regiment Logistics Officer, otherwise known as S4. In 2000, he was assigned as the maintenance platoon leader for Charlie Company, 123rd Aviation Regiment at Fort Wainwright, Alaska. That's a cold place, Colonel, as you know. and in 2001 he assumed command of the same unit. After command, he served as a small group instructor at the Aviation's Captain Career Course at our local base, Fort Rucker, Alabama, and later went on to serve as Senior Aviation's Logistic Trainer and Deputy Aviation Trainer at the National Training Center at Fort Irwin, California. I don't know how many of you have ever been to Fort Irwin, but that's a rough place to be. In January 2009, he took command of Bravo Company 615th or 615 Aviation Support Battalion and deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Upon relinquishing command, he later served as the 2nd Battalion, 227th Aviation Regiment Executive Officer of the famed 1st Air Cavalry Brigade Executive Officer in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. If you don't know, 1st Aviation Brigade of the Cavalry is a famed regiment. Colonel, thank you for your service in that brigade. Upon reployment, he returned to Fort Rucker and served as the experimentation chairman in the Air Maneuver Battle Lab and is currently serving as the commander of the 1st Battalion, 145th Aviation Regiment. His military education includes the Aviation Officers Basic Course at UH-60 Aircraft Qualification Course, Air Assault School, URA, along with the Brazilian Army Command and General Staff Course in Rio de Janeiro, among others. His awards and decorations include the Bronze Star Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Air Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Armed Forces Expeditionary Service Medal, and the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, along with Afghanistan Campaign Medal and the Iraqi Campaign Medal, among others, and also the Order of St. Michael, which is awarded to aviators, as many of you know. He is married to the former Dixie James from Riverside, California, and he has 4 children, Travis, Brian, Madison, and Lucas. Please help me welcome Lieutenant Colonel Marcus A. Gingler.
You know, sometimes it's hard to hear your own bio, and really, I think many of you that are here today can probably testify that that doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. You know, we serve for various reasons. We don't serve for the accolades. We don't serve to go from one place to the other. And so it's hard sometimes to sit and listen to that, but from the 18 years of service that I have in the Army, I think it's an honor and a privilege that I've been given to be here today to represent Fort Rucker and the Wiregrass active duty service population and welcoming home our veterans from the Vietnam War. And it is truly an honor, again, that I have as a current active duty service member to see the esprit de corps that still exists among our veterans, regardless of how long it's been since you've worn the uniform, to see you salute the flag, to see you stand and respect the honors of this nation, truly speaks volumes to the service that you provided and the pride that you take in that service, even despite the welcome home you got when you served so many years ago. As I look back to my experience in active duty service, I've been deployed now twice in my career, and each time I've been welcomed home with open arms to have family and community members there waiting for me to welcome me home from my service. It provides a level of comfort when you know you're deployed in harm's way and you're serving long, arduous hours and you're fighting against an enemy who would rather see you dead than alive, to know that waiting for you when you return is that welcome home. And it's hard for me to imagine that we lived in a country where that welcome home was not offered and afforded to our veterans. And so it's with great honor and privilege that I again stand before you as an active duty service member to welcome you home from your deployment and your service. You know, as I was listening to Elaine as she was coming up and saying that she hugged each one of you veterans, it reminded me of my experience at Fort Hood prior to my deployments, both to Iraq and Afghanistan. And there was a nice old lady there at the Fort Hood Deployment Center who sat there, excuse me, I'm not complaining to say that you're old, Elaine, but there at Fort Hood, there was this nice old lady, and she was there for every deployment and every reception, and she would hug every service member before he or she got on the plane. All right, again, a service to her nation, a small token of her appreciation for the service that was being provided for her and for the community. And so I have to look at Elaine's model and think to myself, well, that's her way of showing her appreciation for your service. And so thank you for carrying on a tradition that is going to be a part of my Army career and a part of my veteran career when I someday leave the service. I currently have the opportunity of commanding 1st Battalion, 145th Aviation Regiment on Fort Rucker. And as part of that responsibility, I get a chance to interact with the 145th Combat Aviation Association of Vietnam. And that battalion stood up in September of 1963 in Vietnam and has the distinct privilege of being the first aviation regiment, or the first aviation unit stood up in Vietnam. And so we recently celebrated, that's right.
At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce again a person that needs no introduction, a great man for our city. He's a great Alabamian, and he's a great American. I'm honored to call him a friend. He's been a mentor to me, and he is a friend of all of the veterans, Mayor Mike Smith. Good morning.
All right, sit down. I tell you, yeah. When we first started planning this, I was supposed to MC, and a couple of weeks ago when I read the proclamation at City Hall, for those who were there realized quickly I couldn't make it through it. This is so emotional to me. We're way, way, way past due. You know, it's about darn time, isn't it? I want to thank Senator Smith for being here. We appreciate you and all that you do. Steve Klaus is one of our best leaders in the state of Alabama. He likes to be in the background, but thank you, Steve. The reason, selfishly, that we're here today, for me, is my brother Bill. You know, I got adopted into the Schmitz family in a small town in Monroe, Wisconsin. And Bill was my older brother, and he could beat me up, but you couldn't. He would run towards a fight. I would run away from a fight. He was quiet. He's is and was a young man who could work with his hands and fix anything, and I could sell it. We were very different. We never told each other we loved each other. That's just the way it was. He was in my generation, our mother would call him a rascal. He dropped out of school, high school, got in some trouble. He didn't join the service out of patriotism, although our father served in World War II. He joined because they said if he didn't, he had two choices: go to jail, in the Army. Now he denies that, but it's true. So he joined and he served, and he ended up serving 12 years, and I'll never forget when he came home how disrespected people treated him. Okay. So, to my brother Bill, welcome home. Now, Bill lives in Wisconsin. He's proud to be a redneck. He owns more guns than Gander Mountain. So he couldn't be here. He ended up in prison, but he ended up working for the state prison department and ended up with a retirement. So I love my brother, if you can't tell. Is John Ferguson? John, could you come down for a moment? And Taylor, will you stand up? Come on down. Is there any other city commissioner here? Before I introduce Max Roberts, we asked besides this, what is one thing we as the city could do? And this is what they asked. So from this day forward, on every major building that the city owns, we're going to start putting up the POW. And let me, before I introduce Max, talk about our young folks. If you're worried about the future of America, just go to one of our ROTCs in the Wiregrass. I don't care if it's Ozark, Enterprise, Northview, or Dothan High. If you don't know, we have hundreds of young boys and girls, young men and women who are involved, committed, who are going to be the future leaders. And I tell you, we're in great hands. Great hands. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Max Roberts, who served in the U.S. Army from February 64 until retiring March 1st, 84. He served 2 tours in Nam, received 2 Air Medals with a V device for valor, 1 Bronze Star, 2 Army Commendation Medals, and the Meritorious Service Medal, along with Combat Infantry Badge and other awards. He then worked for the aircraft maintenance contractor at Fort Rucker from June 85 until December 2008, retired as an aircraft mechanic leader. Max is a charter and life member of the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 373 in April 1987, and of one of the Alabama State Council, March 1988. Served as State Council President from June 94 until June 98, and is serving as Chapter President and at numerous periods since April 89. He's a life member, service officer for the Disabled American Veterans, American Legion, and Veterans of Foreign Wars. Served on the Alabama State Board of Veterans Affairs until April 99, until December 2001. He's a founding member of the Lower Alabama Veterans Alliance. He lived in Enterprise since July of 79. He's a disaster volunteer for Coffee County Chapter, American Red Cross. Served as a government liaison during the Hurricane Opal. Covered both Coffee and Geneva counties, was supervisor for the damage assessment team during the tornado of March 1, 2007 in Enterprise, worked closely with the county and state EMA during several disasters that affected Coffee County. He's just like all of you. You've always served. Please welcome Max Roberts.
Before you sit down, Mayor, I got something for you. You know, I really appreciate what you've done with flying the POW flag from every state building, city building.
No, Senator, every state building.
Well, yeah, we already did it from the state.
Oh, okay, we're way behind.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now we're doing it from the city. Enterprise is doing it, Ozark's doing it, Dothan's doing it, and hopefully the whole world will be doing it. But this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And Mayor, I'd like to present you with this POWMA necklace.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Get that out of your way.
Well, it's my honor now to close this ceremony, but before I do, I have some things I need to go over and some folks I need to thank. First of all, we would be remiss if we didn't recognize, to my left, your right, if you can just kind of turn and see our Patriot Riders. They're their escort for all local military funerals. No one does it better than them. Thank you. They're holding the flags. And recognizing a great organization which Ed introduced earlier, I want to thank retired Sergeant Major Tracy Adams, who heads up our local Dothan High School Junior ROTC program. Sergeant Major Adams once corrected a young NCO on the proper way to wear his uniform. Thank you, Sergeant Major. Thank you, Junior ROTC program. I want to thank the team behind the team today, Sharon Whitaker, who's a natural-born leader. She's in the back. Sharon, raise your hand. And Whitaker Marketing for putting on this ceremony this morning. I want to thank also our media for being here as well. And I would be remiss also if you can just bear with me. I should have done this at the beginning of the ceremony, but this is about the Welcome Home Day. This puts an official cap on our ceremony this morning. President Obama proclaimed March 29th as Vietnam Veterans Day on March 29th, 2012. That was 2 years ago, obviously. He called upon all Americans to observe this day with the appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities that commemorated the 50th year anniversary of the Vietnam War. So again, thanks to our Vietnam veterans and their spouses and families. Thank you so much. I was told to mention also we're in for another treat. In less than about 20 minutes, we're going to have a flyby at 11:15 from east to west. Mayor, maybe you can help me find out east to west, but okay. But at 11:15 outside, east to west, there's going to be a flyover. Thanks to Scott Appleville for fuel for the flyby this morning. And also, he told me not to mention it, but the mayor is responsible for the flyover. We love you, Mike. Thank you very much. All right, I think I got everyone. I see all our firemen here this morning. Thank you for being here as well this morning and for your service. Sharon, did I get everyone? Friends Choir again, thank you very much. This is selfish, but I see Mike Hipple in the back. He just returned home from being gone. Thank you, Mike, for your service. He's a friend of mine. So, at this time, yes. Come on down. He holds up, can I borrow that? World War II, Vietnam veteran, and I left Korea the last. My dad was a Korean veteran in the 101st Airborne Division. Thank you for your service. At this time, we ask you to politely move outside for our flyover, which begins at 11:15.